Oh, hey, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lens. I'm just sitting here, just bought some new lights. Got me some Ulanzi lights. They look pretty cool. If you haven't noticed, I've been putting links in the description for things that, some of these photographers are talking about that you might find helpful or useful. So the links are in the description on every episode. It's probably something different. So make sure you check that out. On this episode, I'm talking to my man, Matt, aka Matchu Toys on Instagram. I met Matt about a year or so, and been checking out his photography. I like it a lot, you know what I mean? It's pretty good, and I had the pleasure to sit down with him and chop it up about everything. So check out the episode.
Yeah, I was talking to Jay Shot what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? No, last week. I don't remember. But when I was talking to him, I had asked him what do you guys do? Because I see sometimes you'll post pictures up, or one of you guys will post the pictures up. It looks like you're in a studio or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty dope, man. So I thought you guys worked on a TV show or some shit.
No, he does commercials. So he's also in the corporate aspect. So that's not every day. It's every once in a while he'll reach out to me hey, we got this shoot coming up, so I need you to block off these dates. And I'm like, all right, cool. Just tell me what I'm doing. Either I'm running a second camera or doing photography or whatnot, or just helping out,
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Camera, video camera type stuff.
Yeah, so he's got his buddy is his main shooter, so he hires him, and then I'm the secondary shooter. But I learned so much from this guy that I'm all right, I'll come in. Doesn't matter, usually they film in a green screen studio.
Mm-hmm.
They just get the assets for what they need, but what we're doing right now, we're just chatting it up, and I learned a lot from this guy. He's the reason why I bought some of these lenses that I have, because I asked him what do I need to achieve this kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if I'm doing video myself out, usually I do videos for a gym here in Staten Island. I ask him what do you think is a good lens that's an all around, versatile lens? And that's why I have this one on this camera. So this is my bread and butter lens.
Oh, this is not just a regular cam?
Yeah, this is actually my camera set up. That's also why I don't shoot a lot of toy pics as much, because now with the show, just leave my gear set up, so that way it's I'm not trying to put everything back together.
Yeah, because you look crispy as when you do the show and stuff like that, especially compared to Jay's stuff, his side. Yours is crispy shit. I was like, damn, what he must have them high quality cameras.
Yeah, well, it's a lot with messing with the settings, and really, I was talking to Toy Father and No Chewing, and when you're getting into photography, you really want to invest in good lenses rather than the camera, because you can always just upgrade the camera later on. But if you have a good set of lenses that you can use on those cameras, those are what really does the most of the work. So.
Yeah, I gotta invest. I bought the kit at Walmart and shit, right, with the lenses that it comes with. Then I ended up buying I think a 50 millimeter. And then I got my Johnny sold off his Canon, and I ended up buying his macro lens. And that's basically what I used all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Because I like fell in love with the way it looks. I love like the close up of it.
Bokeh and like the
Yeah. I like that. So, but you know, but I want to get into like other stuff. I tried using other lenses, and it's like I don't know. I feel like now I got to put in more work instead of just focusing on that one and everything else like being blurred in the background type. But I definitely want to get into more lenses. You know, what inspired you to pick up a camera and then to just want to shoot? Not even like figures, just maybe just in general.
So like when I was really big into CrossFit back in like 20. So I started like in 2014, 2016, I think is when I started picking up the camera. Cause like it was, you know, like on Instagram or whatever social media you're using, everybody was doing their gym videos or showing them at the gym. Basically, I started out with my phone. Then I started doing videos for the gym, just like, you know, just to put up on their stories or whatnot. I used my iPad and I was like, you know what, let me actually get a camera. So I started out with I was looking into it and whatever had good video quality and was affordable at the time. So I got a Lumix, which is a Panasonic. It was a G85, which is mirrorless. And I was looking because like I wasn't sure if I wanted to get mirrorless or full frame, but mirrorless is lighter and it's easier to work with when you're, you know, moving around and trying to take video. So that's why I started down that. And then a lot of people use, like a lot of wedding videographers, they use the GH5. So then that's what I moved on to now. I have 2 of those cameras.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this? Like, when did you start? How long ago?
Yeah, like 2016, 2017-ish. And then I taught myself how to use Premiere to edit the videos.
Okay.
Because ever since college, like I went to New York City Tech for graphic arts for college, and I had Adobe, like the whole collection suite. So I've just been paying for that, and I was always using like just Illustrator and Photoshop, but like I had the whole thing. So it was just like, well, I have the programs, I might as well learn how to use it, right? Because Creative Cloud, you're paying. Like if you're paying for the whole thing, and I was using like 2 or 3 apps, so I was just paying for the whole thing. But like all the other apps I'm not using. So like After Effects, Premiere, some, you know, like Adobe Audition, which is for audio. Like I've been trying to teach myself that ever since, like just through YouTube tutorials.
And so you started off basically for the video aspect of it.
Yeah, for the video aspect for the gym. Yeah.
What made you transition into toy photography?
So I started buying lights because I kept complaining that like there are parts of the gym that were not lit properly. So I'm like, let me buy some lights, because I see like when I watch the YouTube video tutorials, you know, people are like showing, you know, how to light a subject. So then when I started buying these lights, I'm like, all right, I need to practice like ways to light my subjects. So I just grabbed the toy off my shelf, and I think it was the SHF Vegeta, which is the first one I bought, like as an adult, that I got it in Manhattan at a bookstore for like $35, $40. Yeah. So I started lighting that. And then my cousin works with, do you know Bone Claws Customs?
Yes.
So my cousin worked with him. They were working in an auto shop, and my cousin was saying, you know, my buddy, he does like dioramas for toys. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So then like, as I started to look into buying figures, I started to chat with Bone Claws. And I think I bought my first dial off of him. So then I started shooting, I think it was the Mafex Spider-Man, the Homecoming. That's my first post on IG.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, but basically it was just all for me to practice lighting.
So you took up toy photography to try to get better at your videography.
You know, I took photography twice in college. The first college I went to, and then I transferred over. First college I went to, I actually was about to fail out of photography. And then the second time, it was when they were introducing digital cameras into the course. Because the first time I took it, it was like when you had to use a manual camera and you had to you had to you had to develop the photos yourself in the dark room. And I was like, man, I don't have that time. I have to get to work. So like at the time I was going to school and I was going to work. So I had to go in between, but you can only use the dark room when, like not during class, like in your own time. So I never had the time to do it. I was like, you know what? I got to drop this class because I was about to fail it.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
And you said you started. So what were you using that same camera for toy photography?
So like the first camera I was using the G85. I was using the same camera. I was using a kit lens at the time. And then little by little, I was getting more gear because when I was working at the gym and they were asking me to do videos, I was doing the videos, I guess, pretty good enough that like people were coming into the gym because through their social media.
Mm-hmm.
So they were seeing the videos, blah, blah, blah. So they started to invest in me more. And like they were buying me my first equipment. Like they bought me a drone.
Nice.
I said, like, listen, I need to upgrade this camera because I think this GH5, the video quality looks crisper, and I think we'll get better videos. So like they're like, all right, buy it, and then I'll reimburse you. And I'm like, all right, dope.
He was like,
and that's and that's actually where I met J Shot, in that gym.
Oh, okay.
He was a morning guy because he was always going to the city. So he went like 6 a.m. I'm not waking up at that time, And this was right before the pandemic. Like one of the coaches, like one of my good buddies, was like, we have a guy who's in production. I don't know if you should try to like come in and chat with him. And at the time we were doing like these little video segments where we would showcase one of the members of the gym, and J Shot was actually lined up for the next one, right? But I think it was probably the pandemic that stopped us from actually going forward with producing more, right? Or like, I think might have been the pandemic, or maybe it just like one of the coaches just fell off with doing it. But like I do have that footage somewhere of like, J Shot working out at like 6 a.m. Gym is empty. It's just him and the coach, but then like we started chatting. And we kept in touch, and then, so this was this was before the pandemic, like maybe like 1 or 2 years. But like when the pandemic hit, the gym closed, and we had to like either work out in the park, or I would hit up J Shot, and he'd let me work out in his garage. So we actually grew closer through that. And then I was like, I also have this, other Instagram account, and it's just, strictly just toys. This was like when I think, I didn't even break 1,000 followers at the time. I didn't really take it like seriously, but once I went over that hurdle, I was like, I might have something in this, because like, this is picking up more traction than my actual page, my personal page. And when I showed it to him, he actually pushed me to pursue it more.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah. And then he, like you said, like we work on production. He actually offered me some gigs. Like my first time on set on a commercial was through him. And I learned a lot, like really quickly.
Nice. I think that's like super cool, right? When you meet somebody and you find things out from them, you're like, oh wow, like we're kind of not in the same field, but like almost similar interests. Right. It's like you learn from each other, right? Because when we were talking, he was telling me how much you taught him about toy photography. Yeah. And now you're vice versa, and you're telling me how he's taught you a lot about the production side of stuff and things like that. So and like, it almost like it balances out, because now you guys, I just started being hip to you both maybe like not even a year or so. I think when we first started talking might have been almost a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago. Not even, probably a little less than that, right? Mm-hmm. But I started seeing you guys and especially your stuff, because it all just like, Instagram has completely changed from what it's been known. And, now it's so heavy reels and stuff, but scrolling just through other people's pages and being on the ToyMigos page and just scrolling through that, you see a lot of toy photographers that I might not even follow, but because they just put that whole, because of your following here, we suggest these guys. And I would just think, I didn't even realize that I wasn't following you until maybe like a month or so later that I would see. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not even following this guy. Right. So let me hit the follow. But it's stuff like that you see. And I'm like, oh man, I really gravitated to the photos that you did, you know, especially with everybody, like, especially now, you know, and I think the pandemic probably people just sitting down, laying around, doing nothing. It's like, hey, let me try to figure something out and to keep busy. Right.
Yeah.
And
that's like, that's when my account blew up, was during the pandemic. I think it was like around like August. It just, it went like, I was struggling so hard to break that first 1,000. And then I started getting more traction through other pages, and then more traction after that. And then I got stuck around like 3 or 4K or something like that. And I think that was when they started introducing reels around that time. But I took like a break from toy photography, and I was just, I think I was back into video games more, and I started doing screen captures from playing Spider-Man PS4.
Oh, okay.
And then I made those into edits.
That was a hell of a game. I ended up, I don't game, and I bought that system, the special edition.
Yeah.
Just for it, and I beat the game, and I never touched that PlayStation again.
With the PS4 or the PS5?
Oh no, the 4.
Yeah.
So I'm you know, yeah, but that's pretty cool, man. And like I said, I'm glad I stumbled upon all you guys, because it's just like, wow, like I was just stuck on like a certain group, right? Like the ones that you know. And so like all the ones that are starting up and or like just getting traction, you would usually miss them. But because the whole thing that they did with the, hey, look at this one, look at that one, look at this one, I ended up finding a bunch of new people, you know? And yeah, so that was pretty cool. With you had mentioned before that you use you had a lot of lenses. What lenses do you use right now? Like, are you like, which ones do you switch from, or do you just keep the one lens?
So on my my main camera, like usually, like even if I'm going out for a shoot, I'll use a Canon 24 to 70 millimeter. That's basically my bread and butter. Depending on the situation, though, like I'll switch out if it's. So like if I'm in the gym and they're doing like outdoor stuff, and like when they're running, I'll switch out. I just recently got a 75 to 200. I can't really use that for toy photography. That's mostly for just outdoors or, you know, when I'm taking video or taking photos of people. It's like it's big and it's heavy. I'm not gonna set that up for toys, and I have to be further away. You know?
Okay.
So those are my two primary ones, and then I have another one that's a 12 millimeter, which is more wide. So like if it's in a small area, like I think I should probably just use it for this, but like I don't want to have the whole thing just showing and then it's me like tiny in the middle, you know, when I'm talking.
Yeah. So you do the videography stuff, you say you're doing both indoors and outdoors. Do you do that with toy photography? Do you stick to just indoors, or have you done outdoor and indoor?
I mainly just do indoor, just because I like the control of using lights. When it's outdoor, the amount of time, like if I'm setting up a shot with, if I just have a figure in my hand and I'm just doing outdoor photography and just quickly take a shot, then yeah, that's fine. But like if I'm setting up a scene, like with a Dario outside, I always think about this in my head. If I were to do it hypothetically, the amount of time that it takes me to set up the scene and then pose the figure, get the right angle, get the right settings in the camera, that sun is going to move. Right. So like my lighting already changes. So it's like, and then I take, when I do shots, I take at least, I don't know, like 20 shots, at least 20, probably no more, maybe closer to 100. And I just skim through those. Yeah. Right. It's you're always better off taking as many shots as you want and then going back to, you know, and then going back and looking to see which one is the best one, rather than like, oh man, I took this one, and then going back and then I have to set it up again. You know, that's just the way I learned how to do it. Just take as many different photos in one shot.
And so how much different is it, like, I guess, transitioning? Like, so if you're using that one camera and you're going from outdoors to back to your toy photography, like the settings must be constantly always going back and forth, constantly moving, right?
Yeah. So when I'm doing toy photography indoors, I usually have like a preset, right? So I'll change that. I'll leave a preset for the toy photography or for the stream. But when I'm doing toy photography, I mainly just go manual and just mess around with the settings. I already know, like in my head, like it's gonna be, depending on the lighting scenario, it's gonna be this f-stop, this amount. Like the shutter speed is gonna be, like this amount. And like the ISO is going to be really low. So like the ISO, I usually, for toys, I don't like to go over 1,000. If usually I like to go the lowest I can if it's like 100 or 250. So, yeah.
With you mentioned you like doing the whole lighting, everything when you're doing indoors. What are some other accessories other than lighting, and maybe what kind of lighting do you use? Like, brands, or I know a lot of, like, back then people were like trying to go heavy on the Lume cubes, because they were so small, portable, and everything like that. But what are like some accessories you like flight stands, smoke effects, things like that? Like, what do you use?
So I use for like the haze, I use the atmosphere aerosol spray. I bought a smoke machine. I just have been too lazy to open it and set that thing up, because I'm afraid that, like, I'm going to set it up and then I'm just going to leave it there. But like, or I'm afraid, like, I'm going to set up that smoke machine and it's just going to stay in the room. It's not going to leave, One day I will whip that thing out. In terms of like flight stands, I don't have flight stands. I use armature wire, which you could buy from Michael's.
Armature wire?
Yeah, it's like, do I have it around here? Please don't knock it. Okay. So it comes in like a roll, but like you can bend it pretty easily. And I just shaped it into a light stand.
Yeah.
Depending on like the figure, if it's too heavy, like you could do the same thing and just like prop it up. Well, what I'll usually do is I'll put a weight at the base or something heavy to just keep it from moving. But like you can shape this to however you want to, if need be. And basically I just snip it from the roll. I'll snip it to a certain length. I have another one that's like shorter.
Yeah.
Like it's either that or I'll try to use like if they're in the air, I'll try to use wires and then maybe just either edit that out later. But mostly I try to balance everything if I can. Like that's the thing that I try to do. Like there was I did a reel. It was actually on my story at first, but like it was like the Street Fighter figures. I used I balanced Ken doing the Dragon Punch on Sagat. Like the way I had him posed, it's like his legs were kind of like leaning onto Sagat as he's taking the punch, and there was no strings. It was just all balanced.
Nice. When you use the aerosol can for the smoke, how do you like that? Because I see a lot of people use it, but I'm always like, why am I gonna buy it? Because I feel like I gotta keep spraying or whatever. So I just go and I took a page out of Cheney's book and I bought myself a vape, and I use it with no nicotine, nothing like that, and I just use it for the smoke. And it usually works for me because it's so easy to use, and I could just literally just blow into it as the time goes instead of constantly buying the cans. But I do see like the difference of like the thick smoke that produces to the one that the can does.
Yeah, the cans are more of a haze, right? Like it's not as the thickness of like a vape. It'll stay there a little longer. And I forgot who I was watching, but somebody said if you wet the ground first, it'll stay there a little longer. It'll linger around.
Oh, nice.
And I haven't tried that yet, but I plan on doing that on like future shots.
Oh, that's probably something I'll definitely use because
Yeah.
I actually right behind me I got the Mezco Crow figure
Yeah.
with the 78 points of articulation rooftop dial that he just put out that I got, and I want to do the whole rainy, foggy effect.
Yeah.
So I might try that out.
Yeah. If you do that, then are you going to actually use actual water droplets or like a spray bottle?
It's a spray bottle, yeah.
Yeah, because if you use a spray bottle, you can get like a finer mist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then since you're using the spray bottle, you're wetting the ground that it's, so then you could just use the vape, and it should linger a little longer.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. Oh,
it also depends on the settings you use on the camera, mainly your shutter speed. So you want a quicker shutter to get the movement of the, like a faster shutter speed to get the movement of the raindrops, and also like the movement of like the haze or the smoke that's in the frame. Otherwise, if you use a longer shutter speed where it's exposed longer, you're just gonna get like it's gonna be like more hazy because you don't see the actual movement, and the camera is just capturing however seconds or fractions of a second. So it's just going to linger there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a shot with the DC Collectibles Joker, I want to say it was.
Oh, nice.
From the animated series. And Johnny had, given me some tips on how to use the rain effect. And it took me a while to figure it out and get it just right. But I was very happy with the end results of that photo, you know? And then, so yeah, I definitely wanted to mess with that again to maybe see if I could get a little bit better using a different figure and a different pose. Cause it was just like a walking pose type of thing, but it was something that I was like, oh wow, I can't believe like, I really enjoyed doing it. And I loved like the way it came out,
Yeah, no, yeah, I gotcha. In terms of lights, I use depending on the scenario, if I want like a really bright looking daylight, I have a Godox SL60 or whatever. It's like one of those big like it looks like a production light and it has a dome over it.
Okay.
That one I get like the brightest looking light, and with the dome it's softer. If I take it off, it's just like really harsh. So it could look like a harsh sun if I wanted it to. And then I have these Falconized F7s. I have 3 of them, I think, and they're magnetized.
Nice.
USB charge. And they also have those different settings. Like you'll find these RGB lights to have. What I mainly like about this is the brightness that you can get. I don't know if this is charged. So like, this is bright
already.
Yeah. You can change the color temperature. It's also RGB. But what I also like is that you can change the saturation of the light, of the color. Right. So I have those square Alonzis that everybody has, but I don't know if you can change the intensity of the color. So if you want like a hint of red, and like, it's always just going to be an extreme red.
Okay.
I'm not talking about like the brightness of the light. I'm talking about like the amount of color in the light.
Yeah.
But like you could do that in these. These are the Alonzi light wands. I have 2 of these. These are really good. I like these a lot.
Where do you get those? Like on Amazon or anything? Or
Amazon.
Like Amazon. Yeah.
This is the pricier one. I actually got this for when I was doing videos. Not really the toy photography, but then I started using them for toy photography. You can actually get these like when they have like Prime Day sales, or if it's Black Friday, you can get these they go on sale pretty often.
Nice.
For the price of this, you could probably get like 2 or 3 Alonzis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And because they're portable and small like that, you could just take them anywhere with you, right?
You can take them anywhere with you. If there's like, you can, if it's if there's like a metal surface, you can mount that. Like the Alonzis also, they have a magnet too. This magnet is a little stronger though. I've noticed. So like when I have to be careful when I put it because then it'll just like slam into the metal plate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty dope though, man. Especially with like it being magnetized, you have something like a wall. Like I have a pipe, I could just boom, put it on and use it like that. Because right now, like I don't really have a lot of lighting stuff. I have like you said, like the thing, and then I have like that the throwback. It looks like aluminum foil type cover.
Yeah.
You know, I got that, and I use that every once in a while to try to get some type of lighting. Like I'm still trying to. I'm trying to like perfect it, not like perfect it, but just get better at it. Like I'm just starting, right? And that was the whole premise of the show, is to try to get better through this, right? From guys like you giving me tips and things like that. So, definitely try to work on my posing as much as I can with the very little that I do. And then lighting is another thing to me is important because, when a shot comes into my head, it's always like, I feel like it's almost like I want it to look cinematic, right?
Right.
Like everybody's shot, I feel like what gravitates me towards a shot is it almost like it tells a story.
Yes.
Right? You could just do whatever and have, this Mario with the plunger somewhere, and it's like I could see what you're trying to do with that, and I could put a little story to it without even having to explain it in the caption or things like that, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah. So like, a lot of your shots, one that pops into my head like right away is the not too recent, but the Scott Hall one that you did in the ring when he's about to step in the ring with as Razor Ramon, right?
Yeah.
Like I saw that and it was just like I feel like I'm watching that match like just about to start, right?
It's about to start.
Yeah, and it's like, man, like stuff, it's like just little things like that, like just it captures you, right? And it's just like, oh man. So like that's why I try to go for whenever I get an idea, is like almost like a movie scene or a show scene or something, like just snapshot, screenshot from there, and that's what I want.
Yeah. And you always want to think about it like where is that light being motivated from? Is it like supposed to be like for the Scott Hall shot? Is it the ring lights, like the ring, the lights that are above the ring? So like I did want like a top down, but I also wanted to have lights coming from the side, so it kind of cuts the figure out from the background. It's like a catch light, like or no, not a rim light, like how I have this light, so that way it's highlight on my outline.
Yeah, man. Like I just, the lighting. I know posing is super important, but I think lighting is right up there in that alley. It's like they need to be evenly. Like yes, you could have a good pose, but if your lighting is kind of off, it like kills the shot, right?
I think lighting is more important than posing. Like I'm huge into like posing, right? That's my jam too. But like if you think about it this way, if you have a really like cool posed figure, and if you turn the lights off, you can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Exactly. Like that's what I was gonna say. Like you work on your poses, but then the lighting is off. It's like it won't capture. Like let's say like the whole left side is way too dark compared to the bright right side, or the shadowing is off, and it's like I just kills it. Yeah, your pose looks great, but it's like you really can't tell how great it is because of that reason, Right. So it's like it comes hand in hand, and it's talking to guys like you and the other photographers, like I get that more, and it's like I got to work on that stuff even more.
I like people like Mr. Lee, right? Like he does some good stuff on Instagram. He takes he'll take photos of even Legos or statues, right? He's not doing some crazy poses. He's lighting it pretty well, and it looks great. Every time I open Instagram, it's usually his stuff, or I'll see like Wayne collectors, right? And that's another one I always chat with. He's also big into posing, but he's also big into light painting when he takes photos.
Whoa, that's bright. Yeah, that's good. I hope you've been liking the episode so far. Well, let's take a quick break and check out some of the pictures that Matt's taken over the time. Check some of these out.
When you first started getting into like toy photography, what were some of the accounts that you might have like looked into, like, oh man, like maybe as inspiration, or just like, oh, I really mess with this guy, like I love what he's doing, let me try it out?
So like I think the first introduction to toy photography was definitely Nose Rain Richie, and I think it was a shot with Baby Groot, like that Hot Toys 1:1 scale.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, it was like, you know, Johnny, Work More or Less. Who else? Plastic Action, all those guys.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other people. I feel bad, like if I'm not like dropping any names.
It's all good, man. There's so many, right? That you see and you just like, wow, like I want to try this.
Yeah, exactly. And but also the thing that I've learned the most, actually more recently, is if you look at those pages, those top pages, they're telling a story in their main shot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they started earlier than, you know, before the pandemic, and their accounts grew. So like during that time, like, you know, or like around like 2016-ish, I think, those accounts are growing really fast. It was, the algorithm was so different, and there wasn't that many, you know, there was not that many toy photographers on the scene as there is now, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
There's products for toy people who are toy photographers. They market towards toy photographers now with these figures. So
yeah, definitely. Like we've seen, you know, Johnny goes and he does work for Super 7. Trevor 16 Shooter, he's doing stuff with Mythic Legions. We see The Amazing doing a lot of mess.
Oh yeah, The Amazing. I can't believe I forgot. I can't believe I forgot him. He was actually the first one who got me into watching all this toy stuff on YouTube. Just like watching his reviews, then watching Jay Hernandez, Unparalleled. Then I started watching Kevin's show. And I think that's when I signed up for like YouTube Premium, because I was sick and tired of seeing ads. So then like I would just leave these shows on in the background while I'm working. And then because I was watching Kevin's show, it recommended that I watch ToyMigos. That's how I found you guys.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool to like to see, you know, and to hear things like that, because it's like now, like I used to say all the time, like the community, you know, it feels like it's a big community, but at the same time, it feels small.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's almost like, it feels like we all know each other in some way or fashion, and we all chat it up here and there. Right. But then you get like more people like just coming in more and like, oh, hey, oh, damn, I didn't even know about you. Like, where the hell you been? And Kevin was one of those guys to me, because it was like, who is this dude? Oh, he's a Canadian. Oh, damn, there's photography and toy interest outside of the United States.
Yeah.
Like, right. And then you see guys like Plasti Adicto and like other guys from like other countries. And it's great to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's super dope.
I think outside of like, so I worked with Jason, Work More or Less, last year through J-Shot, because like we were like saying like we should get we had a job and we had to get a photographer, and then like I was like, let's get Jason, you know. So we got Jason, we got to work with him. That was the first time I met somebody actually in the toy community that, you know, like that I looked up to also. Well, like after that, then it was like I met Kevin because I went to Canada with my cousin. And he's, you know, we drove to Toronto, and I was like, hey, Kev, I'm going to be in Toronto this weekend. Let's go meet up. Let's go to Toys R Us. So I met him there. And then from then on, it's just like, now I got to meet as many of these people that I could. I met you, you know, I met Trevor. That's why I really want to go to San Diego to meet, you know, everybody on the West Coast too.
Oh man, that's a must. That's all I got. It's a must.
Yeah.
You'll never want to go stuff in the East Coast again.
Well, the thing is, we don't have tickets, so Jay Sean and I are just like, let's get up Airbnb and book our flights, and, just hang out outside of the con, because there's going to be other things going on, right?
Yes, I went. My first time was 2019. I stayed with Cheney, and I had tickets to go to the con. I think 3 out of the 4 days. I think I went a total of a day and a few hours, and the rest of the time was outside. And I was like, it was cool inside, but like the excitement and the whole thrill of being there was being outside, just meeting everybody. I felt like I'm walking with Cheney, and I feel like I was I was walking with a celebrity, like how many people he knew. And I'm just like, wow, like this is awesome. And I went to New York Comic Con, and it was like, you just feel the biggest difference in the environment and the people. You're from around here, man. You know how we are. Who are you talking to? Just keep walking. Everybody over there is just like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, I wasn't even used to it. I was like, hey, what's up? Like,
this past year, though, I did have the most fun, because it was like by the Engine of Vengeance, the HasLab. That's where all of us would actually gather, and that's where we all met up, right? Like we would go to see the Engine of Vengeance, and then we'd be like, oh, is that Dario over there? Like, is that Trevor?
That was cool, and because it was a lot less crowded, it was a better moment to meet up, right?
Yeah, and that wasn't planned.
No, and not at all. It was just like, oh,
yeah,
But it was so cool, and to anybody watching, I readily recommend San Diego, man. Just go. I got my Airbnb booked. I got my passes. I don't even have a flight yet, but I don't care if I gotta drive a bicycle. I'm going.
Yeah,
but
we gotta get our shit together and book those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. I'm saying this like I booked it, but like we have to book it. Well, like I'm looking forward to meeting like Cheney, Adam, Ernie, but more importantly, Chamba, because it's like he's coming overseas. We got.
He's way down under.
Yeah, he's got to be treated like a king.
Yeah,
when he sees everybody.
Definitely. What you call it? Let's get into like some figure talk, right?
All right.
So, has there been a figure that you were excited to get, and when you got it in your hand, and maybe you wanted to go take a shot, it just didn't work out? If you could, pick any out your head that you could remember.
Just didn't work out. Actually, my plan. So, do you remember the Ninja Turtle shots that I did? My plan for that shot was actually using the SHF turtles and not the NECA turtles.
Oh, okay.
Because I just bought those SHF turtles from Mario. And I've wanted those for like the longest time, and I was just like, yeah, I'm finally getting these turtles, because every time I looked them up, they were so expensive. But I had the disguise turtles, right, from NECA, and it took me getting the SHF turtles to really appreciate those NECA turtles, because the SHF, it's cool. What's cool about those is like, they have that they have a little more articulations on the arms. Their legs are made out of die cast, so like you could put them in a lot of poses and it'll maintain that balance because of the weight distribution.
Yeah,
it's bottom heavy, so like once you put it in a pose, you can just like it'll stay there. But like there were certain poses that I couldn't hit with it because it was actually kind of lacking articulation on the lower half because of the metal legs, Yeah. So then that's when I was like, you know what, screw this shot. I'm gonna use the NECA turtles, and that shot blew up too. I was like, man,
those SHF turtles, man. I ended up getting them. Luckily for me, I got them when they weren't that crazy. So I picked those up, and I was like, oh, these look awesome. They look really, really like close to the cartoon at the time, right?
Yeah,
with the coloring and everything, the green and everything. And then I remember when we were doing the quickie minis during the pandemic, friend of the show, Sean, he would come on and he would, drop bombs on like what's going to come out again and this and that. And he said, oh, the turtle line's going to pick back up. Yes, it was a few years ago, but I believe in my man and I'm still waiting. But I was like, we ended up getting word that they were going to put them back out. And I think they only came out to like $40, $50 a pop. And I said, dude, if you guys don't jump on these deals and get these reissues that they're putting out, you're going to regret it when the line starts popping off because you're going to miss out. So they went, and I was like, the only thing I regret was not getting another set.
Okay.
Because after that, when those sold out, forget it. Then that's when the price jumped, right?
Right.
So, but then with the NECA stuff, like you see the difference. Like they're not as shiny. They're not, like you said, they're not as bottom heavy. Yeah. Because of that, and with the NECA stuff, the little peg holes for the feet help out a lot, especially when you're trying to do a certain pose or something.
Not only that, but like the options with the face, like that technology that they have with the swappable, like the eyes and the mouths.
With the ones in the skies, yes, because you could take them out now, The ones before that ain't have all that. They didn't have that. Oh, no. See, my only gripe about that is like I wish I got two because it's like they only have two of each, right? Like two. Yeah. There's only like two, but like you can't use them for all four turtles. So if you want to have them all smiling, you would need two sets. That's the only downfall. Like when I first got the turtles, I got the
2-packs,
the cartoon, the concept, right? Which one was it? Yeah, I'm almost certain it was. Yes, the one that came in the briefcase, the turtle, like the casing, right? That had like the clip and everything. Yeah, that's the one I got first. And those were the darker green ones. Yes. So they were all like that one color, and they came with the Foot Soldier and Krang and Shredder and stuff. And it was awesome. And it was like, oh man. And then more that came out, then they came out with the cartoon colored ones with the what was it, like Leo and Donnie, and then Mikey and Raph, and those were like super hard to get. I remember I got a set, I think it was Leo and Donnie, and I just had them with a lighter shaded green. Did nothing with them, and I was like, you know what? Johnny was asking for them, so I just said, here you go, bro. Like I sent it to him and whatever. But now with the Turtles in the Skies, when they started doing the swappable heads and stuff because of the quarter scale stuff, I was like, oh man, they're just getting better and better, and they just keep, they're taking all my money. But because of that, like that, it's in that set. I think even though I don't like really, I guess I don't appreciate it as much. But you saying that, it's like, yeah, that set was kind of like a game changer for not only them, but the figures itself, because of the swappable parts.
Right. And like I said, you don't even realize, but like everybody associates NECA with having tight joints, right? Like their joints are not the greatest, but that turtle set actually has really good articulation for what it uses. I mean, I wish it was like, I wish you can get more on the elbows, but like even the legs, like I was able to get the Donnie to pose. So that was the one thing I really wanted, was Donnie to have that pose from the game. That taunt where he's playing the Game Boy. So he's crouched down, looking over his shoulder, and I couldn't hit that with the SHF. So then I busted out the turtles, and I was like playing around with Donnie, and was like, oh man, he can hit it. I guess I got to use this one, And I was like, man, I paid Mario for those turtles, and like, you know what? It's cool though. I like it. I like those SHF turtles. They're good for they're good to have. If I were to recommend people to get like a specific line of turtles, I would have to say the NECA one. They're killing it right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even the movie turtles, dude. Those movie turtles are great.
Yeah, my first set were the GameStop ones.
$22.
Yeah, and it was just, I was like, wow, because I picked up the quarter scale, and then when they did the 112, I was like, they just minimized it and kept it. Everything about the quarter, they kept it, and I'm in love with everything they're doing turtle wise.
Yeah, dude. The Revoltech turtles though are good too. I got that through Kevin.
Yeah, I got those, and I just never did anything with them because I don't know, like with stuff like that, it's like I'm not even thinking about a shot. I'm just like, oh man, I just like mess with them a little bit here and there, and then whatever. But those were great too. I'm just glad I didn't wait so long in picking them up. But even though when I got those, it was a little up there in price, but not like too crazy, because I jumped into collecting later on, not when those were really out. So like by the time I caught up and it was like, oh, these are out. Oh, I gotta pay a little bit more.
When I jumped into collecting, it was mostly like import MCU stuff. So like I wasn't even getting Marvel Legends. It was actually J-Shot who got me more into Marvel Legends because he's like, hey, these come with like a Build-A-Figure. So you're buying all these figures and then you can, you have this big figure that you put together. And I'm like, yeah, but that means I got to buy all these other figures that I don't give a crap about.
Yeah. RIP to Dorkside.
Oh,
they used to offer
they used to offer just the bath, right? I have the Colossus from Age of Apocalypse from them. But then I ended up just buying the whole freaking wave anyway. And then by the time they sent me that bath, that's the thing I learned is like if you're just gonna buy the bath, you gotta wait for them to offer that, because like what do? They just take it out of the packaging and put it together for you.
Yeah. Has there been a figure or figures that you just love to shoot and maybe you find yourself going back to it and just being like, yo, I got another idea for this same figure, even though maybe used it like twice, 3, 4 times already?
Probably it's got to probably be Spider-Man, right? Because there's so many different versions of Spider-Man, but like the Mafex Spider-Man is basically the same molds, I guess, right? See, I try not to shoot too many turtles because my co-host is he's always trying to tell me to stay in my own lane, right? I think it's probably Spidey as he's sitting here on my microphone.
Do you have like either one or a couple of like maybe shots that are just your favorite that maybe mean something to you, or they're like a reason why you like it so much?
There was one. Okay, so it's not a shot; it's a reel. It was the Hot Toys Scarlet Spider, and I had just gotten that, like the Laowa lens, the probe lens. You ever see those videos of like people taking like close up shots, and it's a macro lens, right? But it has it's a 24 millimeter, so it's really wide, but you can get so close and you can actually you can put it into like certain areas that like a normal camera lens won't fit into. Like you can have like a pile of clothes and you can just go right inside. But like I had set this shot up using Digirama from using the PS4 game, using a screen, but I had my light overhead with the dome. But from that, I hung like all the accessories, and I had him looking like he's falling from the rooftop, and like, was it pizza and donuts that were dangling, and all the stuff was like he's like trying to grab it, and I thought that's probably like one of my favorite shots. Didn't really get that much traction, and I had posted it twice, but like that one I had the most fun in, like trying to think of how to get that to work.
Have you ever had a shot that when you first started posting and things like that, and maybe thought to yourself, hey, I could do something better and maybe recreate it?
It's fun. So there was a shot that I did with the SHF Captain America and SHF Black Panther, and I was trying to recreate the triple kicks from the movie Civil War, and I did it like comic book style panels, right? And then I had gotten the Black Panther, the amazing Yamaguchi, and I already had the Captain America. And I was talking to J-Shot. I'm like, I'm thinking about recreating that shot that I did like a year or two, like 2 years ago. Like that was one of my shots that actually got me got me more attention because it was like reposted by a lot of those toy photography repost pages. So J-Shot was like, why don't you just animate it? Because he was trying to dabble in stop motion, and then we've always been talking about dabbling in stop motion. And when he got the software, I was like, oh man, maybe I'll get the software too. But he was like, can I have something for once? So finally, when he put his out, that's when I thought about doing that triple kick redo. And he's like, just animate it. So then I was like, you know what? You're right. I will animate this thing. And it's because of J-Shot. That reel blew up, and it's got like 1.3 million views on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That took me like 7 hours to do. It was only 26 shots, but it was just posing each frame, you know?
Man, I is that something that you would want to dabble more into? Is the stop motion, or is that just like, man, that's just a lot of hard work?
It is a lot of hard work. It is fun, but like I have to make sure that I'm completely blocked off because I don't like getting distracted in the middle of what I'm doing. Like if I have to go, if I have to take my parents to the doctors or whatnot, or like in the middle of the day, I don't want to like set it up and then stop and then come back to it later because then I have to get back in that zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like one of those people that has to finish what they're doing before they can move on to the next project. I can't just put it down, put it aside, or else it'll just never get done.
With when you're setting up a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you spend a lot of time on it? Do you feel like maybe you can get it rather quickly these days, or does it depend on like, I guess, what you're trying to get out of it?
I guess, yeah, it does depend on what I'm trying to get out of it, because if it's like I'm using a Dario, I'm using all my lights, and then like like one of the shots that I did was it was like the Sentinel, Peter B, Miles, and Gwen, and they were just chilling in like Miles's bedroom. Like I made a diorama for Miles's bedroom, and I had all these props set up. That took me a long time to set up. And I actually set it up, walked back, left it on the table for a little bit, came back to it the next day. And then I started posing it, and I started taking the shots. But I had to go somewhere that night. So I was like, I need to get these out. I sent it to Mario, and I asked him for his opinion. He's like, he gave me this whole spiel about like the lighting has to be like on point. I ended up redoing those shots later on. It takes me a long time for those shots because it's like you set it up, you do the lighting, then I have to edit it in Lightroom. And like I said, I take a lot of shots, right? But then there are times where I'm just like, I'll take a figure and I'll just pose it, post it, and put it on the table, take a shot, and then post it on Instagram or whatever. Like it was Deadpool sitting on a chair. I did that with my phone. It took me 2 seconds. It was like after a stream, right? That got more traction than something that took me hours and hours to do, right? And you can't get mad at that. Like I was frustrated with that whole like last year. Before I even started doing like the toy reels and I was stuck in like 3,000 followers. You can even talk to J-Shot about this, but like I was so frustrated because like one time I was the symbiote Spider-Man from Hasbro, right? Took that, put it on the desk, had like a white piece of paper behind it, put one light next to it, posted it up, 7,000 likes. I wasn't getting anywhere near those likes in the other shots. So I was like, he's like, oh man, you must be so happy. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, there's no effort put into this. Like I put so much effort in everything else. And then all of a sudden this one blows up. You can't predict how people are going to see it. Right. Yeah. I understand everybody's complaining about the algorithm, but like, you gotta think, how are people using this app? Something simple like that. They're gonna hit like because it's just like, okay, I'll give it a like, right? But if it's something intricate, they might just scroll right by it. You don't know.
Yeah. When you first started, did we all do this because we like it and it's just a hobby, and so a lot of the times it's almost like it's like clearing your mind, right? You're like stepping away from everything that's going on in your life, and you're focusing for whatever time you're giving it to do this, something that you like. And we all know we don't do it for the likes, but that does play a huge role in this, right? Because like I've talked to the other guys, and it's like you want your hard work to be appreciated somehow, right? No matter what the field is. So like you're putting in a lot of work, and you're like, oh man, I put in so much time and effort into this, and it's exactly what I want. And you get maybe like 10 likes, right? And it's like, you know, a lot of the people that are probably starting out, I know it's happened to me when I felt like I did really good, at least in my opinion. I'm like, oh man, I like the way this came out, and it doesn't get no love. And it's like, damn, I must suck, you know? Like maybe it wasn't that good. You know, how did that play into you when you first started out?
So, like I said, like with that whole like black suit Spider-Man thing, I was in that mentality too. I'm like, man, I suck. Like, am I not posting like like I'm thinking like everything that I'm putting out is like, it's somewhat good. I mean, like, why am I not getting the traction that I want? You can't look at like a post that doesn't do as well as you want and think, man, I suck. You just have to think what didn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, don't delete it. Because you never know if somebody's going to find your work and then scroll down. Right. So like a big thing from what I've also learned with the reels are, it brings a lot of people back to your page, and then they just binge your content.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I'm like wondering why is stuff from like 2 years ago getting likes? It's because people are just scrolling down your profile, right? You never know.
Yeah.
Like I do like to keep my page clean. So sometimes I'll delete like stuff that's like, okay, this is not really meaningful to me. Like if I do promos for Between Two Sentinels, I will clear that out so that way it's not, because it always says link in bio, but that link is always changing. So like episodes from like 3 weeks ago, I'll just archive it. But like shots that I take, I'll keep it up there, even if it did bad. So
but it's always good to have those shots, right? Because it shows progression.
Exactly.
It shows like, this is how I started, and look at me now, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, and another reason why I enjoy this, especially doing with this show now, it's like, because I see that, you know, I remember like shots from one of the guests, Ender's game, Ender's
Shadow.
Yeah, my man Carl. He switches it up his name, so I can't even remember it anymore. My man Carl, he's gone, and like, you know, I remember when he first started shooting, he was always sending me his shots, and I'm no professional, or I don't even feel like I'm good at it at all, but I would always give my little input of, oh, maybe try this, maybe do this again, because I'm looking at it as, you know, that cinematic type feel, and it's like,
exactly,
oh, I can see this. I can kind of see what you're trying to do. Maybe just tweak this here and there. And from when he was to where he is now, you know, the short amount of time that it feels like, it's like, wow, man, like you're killing it, right? So that progression is part of the story, right? A part of the progress of where you're going to be at. You know, Johnny didn't start shooting the way he shoots now. My man was shooting the Mattel figures, you know, and to where he's at now, and it's just, I guess the journey is incredible to watch, right?
Right, and you got to get your reps in, right?
Yeah, practice makes perfect. That's exactly what you're doing with every shot. Is you're just working on the craft that you love or enjoy doing. And you know, a lot of the things that we've talked about too that comes up often is, like with me especially, like I see the fun, right? You can tell when you're having fun doing it. To like, let's say, like you said, with that one shot, you just took your phone, boom, bam, and it's said and done. And what the hell? Everybody likes this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of the times, like I look at these shots and it's like, oh man, like look, like you can tell like you put time into this, right? You were having fun because you can like the shot says so much about just the whole process, right?
Right. Exactly.
And it's fun. It's fun to see. That's like that's why I enjoy the photography, whether it's toy photography or just in general, right?
Yeah.
A guy that I brought up before, my man Nick. I don't remember what his IG name was because he hasn't been on IG in so many years, but he was a real good toy photographer, and he hopped off IG. Now he's on Facebook where I follow him, and he does just outdoor shooting of an abandoned house, of a car, just stuff that you would probably just walk by, you know, but he sees it, he'll take a picture of it. And to me, it's just like, I don't know why, but something about it is like, I kind of enjoy this style of his photography more than I did the toys. Right. It's like, I just gravitate to that version of what he's doing now, that style way more than I felt like when he was doing the toy photography, and not because he wasn't good, because my man was nice, but it was just something about these outdoor. He did one shot of an abandoned house, bro, on a just grass growing and everything, and I was just like, this I love it, you know. It's just like, again, you just see like, oh, you can see the enjoyment of what you're doing, right? Even though it's just the one shot,
right? And everybody has a different way of looking at things. So like you said, like an abandoned car, you would just walk right by it. But your friend Nick saw something there that he should take the time, get his camera out, take the shot, right?
Yeah.
And like to other people, it would just be an abandoned car, just walk right by it.
Yeah.
But it's a piece of art now because of your friend Nick.
Yeah. And that's exactly what all of this is art in one shape or form. It's all art, right?
Right. And it's like you can use whatever toy you want to. There was a stream that I think it was Maz's Toy Box, and I think it was Insightful Imagery who said, what's the quote? It's not what it is, but what it can be.
I like that.
So that's stuck in my head. There's a lot of quotes that are stuck in my head. But
that's really good. It's not what was it again? It's just like,
it's not what it is, but what it can be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like that. Wow. And you can make it out to be whatever you want because it's all in your hands, right? It's like almost like a piece of clay. What are we going to shape it into?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's nice. That's dope. Even though it's not going to be anything recent when the show finally comes out, the episode comes out, are you like working on anything right now? Maybe like a shot that you're working on?
I'm working on like a bunch of wrestling shots. So I have like the extreme sets, the arena. So like, and I'm debating on whether I use the AEW ring or the Mattel crowdfunded, like the new generation ring. I'm not sure which era I want to do because I have both crowds. I have the big crowd, and then I have like that, like the old school 93 Raw, like they're in the Opera House and like Hammerstein Ballroom. I have that crowd.
Yeah. That one, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked you about it, and I was like, dude, it reminds me of like some ECW.
Exactly.
Style arena. Like the way they used to do things on their shows late at night. I used to watch it, and it would be just like that, I definitely got to pick up that extreme set.
Yeah. But it's pricey and they're a pain to put together. And you can't take them apart because you don't want to damage because they're cardboard, for those of you that don't know that are watching. Yeah. They're cardboard. They're printed pretty, high quality. But you don't want to keep moving them because it's going to wear and tear.
Go into in them, they bend and all that. I know. I got that alleyway and I use it a couple of times, and it's like the same thing. It's like, damn, I don't want to keep messing with this and end up messing up. And then
exactly, because it's like, and if you order through their site, their shipping is not cheap. Yeah, but like either that, wrestling shots, or I've been playing around with this McFarlane Superman a lot lately. This is the one that I was asking you about, that Hush one, but like I swapped the head.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can get a better look at this with this camera. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I have an angry head on it, but like, yeah, I've been playing around with that. Their articulation, you just have to mod the figures, dude. But the sculpt is definitely there. Might want to add some paint, depending on the figure. But so it's either that. It's either wrestling or Superman right now. So
are you big into wrestling?
Getting more back into wrestling than I fell off around like 2017, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then now I'm getting back into it because I like Jay likes to bring it up. Like I used to train like here in Staten Island. But I stopped because of a shoulder injury, and I got, my interests changed. Going to some shows with the actual wrestlers. The stories that I hear also were, kind of like more of a deterrent for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to like drop those stories and like, put them.
No. But that's pretty cool. Like I really enjoyed your wrestling shots because, like I said, again, it's like it kind of like takes me back, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a feeling.
Yeah, it's that feeling. Just with collecting, we do this for nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I think like that's what really gets us, right? It's not because the figure looks great; it's because what the figure represented in our lives at that one point in time.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh man, it just brings back memories. Turtles, the NECA stuff, the tunes. Watching cartoons, it's Saturday morning, after school, whenever the case may be, all of it, right? It brings you back. The movie Turtles. For me, it was because that was the first time ever going to a movie theater was to watch that movie with my father, my cousin, and an uncle, and I legit never done that again ever in life. But that one movie meant so much, and it brings back memories of that when going, and so that's why it's so stuck into my head,
right?
And I know for all of us, we have either a certain figure or figures, and again, just nostalgia just brings us back to our childhood, right? So it's just stuff like that it's so dope, and the wrestling is one of them because to me, coming to this country when I was 4, I remember being in Brooklyn watching wrestling with my grandmother, right? And it was just like, what is this? Like, this is so cool. And Scott Hall ended up becoming one of my favorites. NWO, when it blew up, but Razor Ramon, I remember the whole shtick that was when that came out, and the 1 to 3 kid and all that. And it was just like, oh man.
Did you ever pick up the Target set, the 3-pack?
I got that. I just recently got it. I was trying to find it to see if I can get it, but I didn't. And then I had a gift card, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just do this online. Yeah. And I ended up getting it online, and not wasting none of my money, but I got it, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah, it's so dope, and it's it's just something about those times, again, going back, nostalgia and memories. It was just like, this was big. Like just that era though, nothing recent, because unlike like you said, I fell off way before even you did. Because I like remember Monday Night Raws and watching all this, and then McMahon buying WCW and then bringing these guys over, and how it changed drastically because of that. For me, competition was what makes the shows better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For your competition, don't even matter what you put out, and for a long time, he had none of that. Yeah, right. He bought everybody out, and now AEW is like right up there.
Yeah, dude.
So it's like it's getting better, and it's kind of like, oh man, I follow wrestling pages here and there, and it's like, yeah, oh man, this is pretty sick.
I got this the Supreme AEW Cody figure. I like this articulation setup better than the WWE Ultimates.
Those AEW figures, bro, is
because they have the double diaphragm joint. They have the butterflies, the toe hinge. The Supreme ones, they're pinless, and you could swap out their arms and their lower bodies for another attire.
That's the one with the big boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those recently, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh wow, like it's pretty nuts." Like they're killing it. They're killing it. I stick to the ultimates when it comes to the wrestling, and mainly just whatever is from back then that I remember. NWO is. I want to finish that roster. I want to get that WCW Nitro entrance ring just because I need Steiner and DDP.
I need to back that. I'm gonna back either today or tomorrow. I'll back it.
Yeah, same. But it's stuff like that. And again, with your shots, it just hits, man. It just hits, and with everybody else too, like just certain stuff. One aspect is this is an art piece. What's my man? You just named them before, more or less, right?
Work more or less.
Work more or less, yes. And he's selling the prints, and it's like, dude, that's awesome. Johnny, my man, put out his book. I had it just in my hand before, and I don't even know what I did with it. But he had his book.
Yeah.
He did that, and which was like super dope. I remember backing that and then buying another copy at Barnes and Noble. It's things like that is great to see in this toy photography community.
Yeah,
when they start blowing up like that, it's dope, man, and it's just great to see it like keep growing. Even though to me it still feels like it's pretty small, right? But it's cool. Like you said, all the people we meet along the way is just great. How much, like I've said it before in like other shows and things like that. I feel like I talk to you guys and things like that way more and have way more in common than with my actual real in my intermediate life friends.
Right. No, I feel the same exact way, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like I interact with all of you guys more than I interact, with other people in my life that are actually, that I grew up with or still friends with. Like I chat with them here and there. I got one friend that I play Xbox with every night, but that's about it.
Yeah. Like it's different because it's like we have the same interests. Oh, you like that too? Oh man, like come on. Like, it just clicked.
And from that, you can kind of like figure out, oh, they might be into this too. If you like this, you might like that.
Yeah. So it's pretty dope to like the way things is constantly growing and the community is growing and friendships are growing. Right. If there was, when I first started the show, I would say, what piece of advice would you give someone that wants to start up? But in a way, I kind of switched it. I forgot with who, and I kind of liked it better. What advice would you give to yourself that, when to the beginner self to where you at now?
Stay away from those pre-orders. Look, because they pile up, man. Like it you think you look at something, you're like, I need to pre-order that because I got an idea for a shot. Then you start pre-ordering so many things that once those stuff comes in, you get this addiction of pre-ordering, opening and opening. That stuff just sits there. Like I'm only like, how many things have I opened and have I not shot? Right. I was talking to Jay Shot about it too. Like he's always like, oh, another pre-order. I'm like, what about the stuff that you pre-ordered like months ago that arrived? You haven't taken a shot yet. Like don't think about what's coming. Think about what you already have. That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah. Right? That's something that I'm dealing with with myself right now. Cause, so when I was, out of commission with the health issues and stuff, it gave me a lot of time to actually look at what I was having. Right. And even though I had stuff trickling in, I kind of like slowed down on the pre-ordering because I didn't have the funds to do so. A lot of us sometimes forget that and we just want the things and I'll deal with how I pay for it later. and then we kind of hit ourselves into a jam. So I kind of stopped that and looking at it, and I was like, dude, the amount of stuff I came home to piled up was like insane, right? And earlier on in the podcast and with the ToyMigos and stuff, we would always talk about our depression pile, right? That's what we would call it. We're just buying stuff to fill a void most of the time, or to be like, oh yeah, I like this, and FOMO plays a lot of part in this collecting too.
Oh, definitely.
So like, me cutting back a lot, even though it might not seem like it, but a lot in collecting, I was like, you know what? I got to get rid of this stuff, appreciate what I actually enjoy having, to just having it. Because it doesn't really feel cool when I say, yeah, I got that somewhere, or I might have that. Like, you're looking for something? Yeah, I might have it. And it's like, I feel like I'm looking like at a phone book directory, and there's like, yeah, okay, I found it. Here, you want this? All right, here you go.
And then Kev's going to come in and say, you need a spreadsheet.
Yeah. And, I tried Kevin's early on, and I got up to mid-February, and I was like, no.
Because the moment you forget to put something in that spreadsheet, that's it.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
That's not for me.
Do that. I can't do that every day.
I can't do that. I got that ADHD, man. It's not going to work.
Yeah. So I started selling things off and trying to say, like, I want to like focus more on the things I actually want to get, and then try to get more into the photography to appreciate more of the actual figures that I have.
Yeah.
And instead of just, oh man, this is nice, and put it back in the box and storage.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point of that? Right? Why even spend the money?
Yeah. And I try to make it a point, like, when I do get a figure, don't leave it in the box. Like, I'm not like, don't leave it unopened, basically, because I'm not one of those people who would try to resell something. But if I'm going to pre-order something or buy something and it arrives, I want to at least enjoy it, even if it's just for 10 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, or I can end up playing with that figure all day. Like, at that point, if I'm playing with that figure all day, that's already its money's worth right there. Well, I guess it depends on the figure that you're buying too, because there are some really pricey ones.
Yeah. Definitely is.
But yeah, I just try to enjoy it, or take that time to enjoy it. Yeah. Especially if I'm like sitting there waiting for it to arrive,
Yeah, like everybody's been waiting for this 89 Batman, and as much as I wanted everybody to love it, doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah. I was always skeptical about it. I mean, I've handled like those seamless bodies before. One, they're dust magnets. They get so dirty, especially if it's an all black costume. Like, I have the hyper real Darth Vader, and he's basically the same technology, but it's like an 8-inch scale. He's just covered in dust, and it's a pain. It's a pain to clean that. And I have like those TV League or Thyssen, the 112 seamless bodies. They're smaller than they're smaller than like the Legends, so they don't really fit well. But like, also the feel of them is kind of weird. They would be great wrestling figures though. That's the only thing I can think of. They would be awesome wrestling figures, but also they're small. So like, if they're smaller than a Legends, most wrestling figures are 7-inch scale. So that's not going to fly either. But that Batman, even without that the little cocaine coating on top of it when it's cleaned off, I don't know, that texturing on the suit looks kind of weird. It's I understand the suit should look a little smoother, and that there is a little bit of texture in the movie, but I feel like the texture is not to scale.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought it too. Like, I'm waiting for that thing to arrive. Well, I'm waiting for it to ship. So don't go by my review of it, because I don't even have it in hand.
Yeah,
just some pictures. Like, the only person that I've seen pose it was Fabio.
I saw that he actually posed it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just like, oh yeah, it looks nice, and here's the head movement, but nothing else. You know,
they move the head, like the eyes, just to play around with that feature, and then they have the arms up. They're like, I don't know what everybody's talking about. This just think it's great.
Yeah, I like, yeah, nah, you know. But yeah, man.
I've been falling off Mezco too.
Yeah, I don't buy. I'm more into like the Rumble Society stuff, and that's
Same.
even that is you know, I'm picky with it. I'm not buying everything. Yeah, Pink Skulls. I missed that last set, and I'm kicking myself still for not doing it. I have 2 sets of the OG Pink Skulls. With the one with the you know, the rocker looking ones with the band. Like I really should have got those, and I just for some reason didn't. And I was like, nah. And I don't know. I didn't justify why I didn't get it. Now that and when they came out, I was like, damn, I messed up.
That was actually one of the photos that I really enjoyed. Also, that it didn't do as well as I thought it would, but that was fun to pose. Also infuriating at times to pose when things fell, but that set was really good.
Yeah,
damn,
it looks good.
That was the set that I remember I gave away for the contest Migos.
Oh, you gave it away.
It was that rocker. So I bought 2.
Okay.
And I was just like, man, I could resell this, make my money back. And then I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I don't want to start going. I don't want to start buying stuff just to resell.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and then like I was on ToyMigos, on Chatmigos, and I was drinking. and Jay-Shot was in the other room. He was here. We were hanging out. And then like I was drinking, and then they were talking about contest Migos, and I'm like, let's up the ante. And I text Jay-Shot. I'm like, get the Pink Skulls. Like, let's give this away. The original idea was to give it away to like a random number and stick to that number, so that way you can't go too hot and win.
Yeah.
Right. Like the idea was to give it to the number 4 spot or something like that. So you're like, you don't want to go too hot and win, because like it was bringing bigger names to the contest, right?
Yeah.
Jason B was in there. But I think that original idea would have been fun to do.
Yeah. But man, it's been awesome talking to you, bro.
Oh damn, I didn't realize how time it was.
Yeah, no, I just saw it now. I mean, I could keep talking. I appreciate you giving me the time, man.
Yeah.
Again, thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Again, I had a great time talking with Matt. I think we talked for even longer after the episode. I want to keep thanking everybody for tuning in every other week, gearing up for season 2. So I hope you guys tune in for that also. I'll see you next time. I'm Behind the Lens.